When I walked through those doors at the airport and the air hit me, you know what I'm saying? It's like the breath of God, the breeze, because everything is spiritual, everything has life. And when that hit me, and I'm like, dang, I'm really here. And I felt it. It felt like the heat was like some arms that grabbed me and hugged me and said, welcome home. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I felt more, Ghana had more culture. I felt more connected here. And like, again, I said it was spiritual because one, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where my ancestors told me to come back to, because I really believe that I had a mission and a purpose to be here in Ghana. And I left America for a reason. I didn't want to come to Africa and still experience America for me. As a diaspora, you can go anywhere, I say, on the continent, and you'll be good. Just stepping outside of the box and leaving the United States. I've had that experience from being in the military. I've lived in Germany. I lived in Asia. I've experienced other countries. So I'm not one to move in fear. But coming here, it was just like I got a hug.
Would you like to introduce yourself to us, why you came to Ghana, why you were in Africa, and why choosing Central Region?
Yes. So again, my name is Jim Kia Fierro, and I get asked that question all the time. Why did I come to Ghana? Why did I come to the continent? And just like a lot of people will say, I think I was led by the Spirit here, and for a whole lot of other reasons. But coming from the United States, where I'm originally from, I'm from Maryland, from the Maryland D.C. area. I was dealing with a lot, with work and with health issues. I am retired Army, so I spent 13 years in the military in the U.S. Army, and I'm medically retired, so I'm considered a disabled veteran. And so just dealing with the stress of working still, as an entrepreneur, I was working as a real estate agent. So I am a licensed real estate agent in the United States. I've been licensed for 13 years, almost 14 years now. And so naturally, when I gravitated, I moved out of the city area because it was so much, with the DC area and the traffic and, I have 2 adult sons, and one of my children is autistic. So, when it's a lot to manage when you have a special needs child. And so, just as a single parent, I'm divorced, juggling work as a real estate agent, which takes up a lot of your time, and also making sure I have time with my son with autism because he lives on the schedule. So it was just so much. So I actually moved down to the South, just to Georgia, actually, the southern Georgia, the Savannah area. I have family down there on my father's side. And of course, it was a different culture. And so moving down there, I had a chance to slow down. And then when your mind slows down, I can sort of evaluate my life. And I got introduced to different things. And then all of a sudden it's like, I started questioning my religion, my spirituality. And then I started going through this transition. And I have family members on my father's side, because the South Georgia is the Gullah Geechee area. And we talked about history and how some of my family members have traced their roots back to Sierra Leone and going to Africa. And so my mind started thinking about Africa and then the spiritual and religious aspect of it. And I said, all of a sudden, I was like, I'm going to Africa. Never even thought about going to Africa before. And so originally, I had planned for 12 months to go to Africa because I wanted something different. At that time, I was 49 years old. I turned 50 when I got to Ghana, but I felt like I needed to make a change in my life. And it was very difficult for me to leave my son. He's an adult, but with autism, I said, you know what? He has a father. It's not just me. I felt like, sometimes as us as Black women, we feel like we got to be included and do everything. You know what I'm saying? But he has a father. So he went to go live with his father. That was hard for me to let go because, I took care of him. He predominantly lived with me the most. And sometimes we always feel like we always got to be needed all the time. We got to do everything. Like we the Black women, we the superpowers of the world. But sometimes we're not. We don't have to be. So going to Georgia slowed me down. And it got to me thinking about my roots. Like, where do I come from? I kept having this need, ever since I was a child. The Most High has told me that I'm supposed to be doing something great. So my whole life I've been waiting. Okay, now what am I supposed to be doing? That's supposed to be great because time is clicking. I'm 49, about to be 50. Like when is my real life supposed to start?
Yeah.
I've got adult kids that I feel like I'm still taking care of, and I needed to come to Africa for me. This was a time for me to connect to my spirituality, to connect to who I am and whose I belong to and where I come from. And I honestly feel like the ancestors were bringing me here for a reason. Sometimes I was the one in the family, like, oh, she goes everywhere. She always moving here. I was. And my mama called me a nomad. You know what I'm saying? I'm always moving. And I think when I realized and understanding history as a people, that's who we were. We were always moving and traveling and things like that. So my ancestors brought me here because I had no idea that I was coming here. And I planned to come here, and I went to Nairobi actually first. I went to Kenya. I said, I ain't going to Ghana. I planned for a whole year to go. Man, Ghana got bad Wi-Fi, the roads are jacked up, you know what I'm saying? It was just so many, the water, the electricity constantly going out. I'm going to Nairobi. I went to Nairobi for 2.5 months. Now you see I'm in Ghana, right? My answer's like, no, I told you going to Ghana. Why are you in Nairobi? It's just a story. If we don't listen, we get smacked or whatever, and then we end up where we're supposed to be. And when I came to Ghana and I flew in through that airport, just like the stories people tell you, it was an experience, And to be able to come here and actually put my feet on the soil on this continent, it's a spiritual thing, and it's something that just hits you and you don't even realize. And I was so overwhelmed, not just because the heat hit me in my face, but you know what I'm saying, but I felt something, and it's just that feeling that you can't really explain. And then I said, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Wow.
And here I am.
That's so deep.
Yeah.
You made mention of it was a spiritual calling for you to come to Ghana. You went to Nairobi before coming to Ghana, and I think something was pestering you that you should move to Ghana.
Yes.
So for the first time you touched base in Ghana, you stepped foot on the Ghana soil. How was the feeling? What did you feel?
I don't want to sound so cliche, but I felt like I was at home. I really did. I had an experience coming here. When I got to Ghana, what I'm saying, I got for like $50, but it's okay. But when I walked through those doors at the airport and the air hit me, what I'm saying, it's like the breath of God, the breeze, because everything is spiritual, everything has life. And when that hit me, and I'm like, dang, I'm really here. And I felt it. It felt like the heat was like some arms that grabbed me and hugged me and said, welcome home. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I felt Ghana had more culture. When I went to Nairobi is beautiful. The country is beautiful. And it's a diverse country with lots of people from the continent. And, we got the Europeans, they're everywhere. But I felt more connected here. And like, again, I said it was spiritual because one, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where my ancestors told me to come back to, because I really believed that I had a mission and a purpose to be here in Ghana and not in Nairobi. Nairobi was great. Of course, my oldest son came with me, Marcus. He loved Nairobi, because it's the city and the shopping and it has everything, but it reminded me of too much of America. And I left America for a reason. I didn't want to come to Africa and still experience America for me. As a diaspora, you can go anywhere, I say, on the continent, and you'll be good. Just stepping outside of the box and leaving the United States. I've had that experience from being in the military. I've lived in Germany. I lived in Asia. I've experienced other countries. So I'm not one to move in fear. But coming here, it was just like I got a hug.
Yeah, but I think I need to ask a very critical question over here. After maybe my sister will also take over to ask a few questions. We in Africa, sometimes we believe that America is a land of opportunities. And people believe in Africa that when you move to America, you're gonna make it at all costs. You left America and came to Africa. Why?
You know what? There's a persona that's out there, like you said, that you have to make it. in America. America is like top tier. Now let me say this. I am American. I was born in America and I was raised in America, and that is my culture. My ancestors were taken to America, and my ancestors built that country. So it is home. I'm not going to neglect that America is home, but it's not everything that you see. You know what I'm saying? When I come to Ghana, I've met so many young people that want to go there, and I tell you, it's great. But don't think everything that you hear and see is truth, because they're always going to make it shiny and beautiful and bright, but there's so many different intricacies. There's so much depth that you have to deal with on a daily basis as a Black person. And I'm not even gonna say as African or African American, but just as Black people. The country is built on us, but they don't recognize us. It's like we go through so many trials there. Everything is not easy. I learned a lot of that being in the military. When I joined the Army, I joined at 17. I wanted an education. I come from very humble beginnings. And for me, I felt like after seeing what I saw in life, I needed to get away. I needed an education. And so the military offered me free education, so that's why I joined. And then once you're in there, now you're working in the government. You know the system. You truly see how things are. You truly see, I ask people, do they even know what GI stands for? Government issued. We are objects to them. We are nothing. And I say that, and I serve. So I don't care what people say, we go hard with the military, but I've experienced it, I lived that. And the cost of living in America is so crazy. And it just keeps getting higher and higher. So that American dream that we think that we're getting, it may be a dream for some of us, but the majority of Black and brown people, no, we're not getting that American dream. We gotta all practically kill ourselves to get that dream. And that dream is somebody else's dream. It's not the dream that we're supposed to have. God created us to live on this earth, to live at peace, and to love one another. And there's so much fighting, and there's so much killing, and there's so much fear that's involved. It's a package that you don't want. Because we're from there, we don't have no choice but to go through that. And then I think at some point, some of us are truly chosen to be awakened and to understand where we are and say, this is not the life for me. This is not the life for my people. The Most High say, let me use you. Let me use Jimkia to take her out of this, to bring her to Africa so that she can see. And now the people back at home in America say, okay, she done this thing. She's living outside of the United States. And she's doing okay. And then the people that are here, the young people, can understand, like, this is why I left. I left because the cost of living is too high. You work yourself to death. You don't have, people work 2 and 3 jobs. I know in Maryland, Washington, D.C. area, there's a lot of Africans that come, that live in our area. And sometimes they put on a persona like, oh, I'm living this great life, but they got a big house and about 2 or 3, 4 families living in one house just so that they can make it. 2 or 3 jobs just so that they can make it, and they send all their money home. I agree. If you're gonna go to America, do what you gotta do, make your money and get up out of Dodge. Come back, invest in a country that is for you, that wants to see you grow. I feel like America has a chokehold on us. Every day I pray for my son's safety because I felt unsafe. I come to Ghana as a female, as a single Black woman, and I can walk anywhere and I'm not fearful of somebody pulling out a gun and killing me, But now I'm here every single day, all day. I'm praying to my ancestor, to our spirit gods, to the Most High God for protection over my kids, because that's the depth of it. It's like these people try consistently to keep us down so that they can make money. It's a hierarchy, and majority of us don't even know, and we live life and we think we're doing good in America because we got all these comforts. They're good for giving us comforts and conveniences, but you can come and step outside of America and get those same comforts and conveniences here in Ghana and Africa, period, as the continent. It's just that, what are you willing to give up? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, just to have a posh house, I come here and I live a much simpler life and I ain't got no stress. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I pay my rent up for a whole year. I ain't got to worry about killing myself to make a rent payment every month, right?
Yeah.
I used to be vitamin D deficient. Man, all this Ghana sun, you know what? My vitamin D levels are good. I've suffered with so much pain from being in the military with surgeries and knee pains. Like, I went from being on 10 different meds down to 3 just from being on the continent. I ain't do that special. I went through a little detox because we all got to go through that.
Absolutely.
Because of all the poisons and toxins that we breathe in with our food. They practically try to kill us with our food, with the way we think, the education system. At every turn, they're taking out Black history out of our education. So our kids are growing up in a society where they don't know who they are and where they come from. They have all these false ideas. So I feel like, like I said, it was a spiritual thing that the Most High brought me here so that I can be a catalyst, so I can bridge that gap, so that my family can see it's okay, come over across the water. And for the people here in Ghana, for the young people can see, this is what America is. This is why I left. If you go there, go with the purpose. Because I'm not going to tell nobody not to go where they want to go, because people get led. That's not for me. All I can do is to share my experiences and things like that, and give them the honest truth. And
Whoa.
but I know I said a lot.
You have something to say?
Yeah, I think I also have had conversations with like young Ghanaians where there is this, I would say, like, glamorization
Yes.
of like living in America and like I guess being an American, like you just sort of attract like that sort of feedback from people, and I think it's probably hard to conceive of just how similar like the difficulties of being a continental African and the difficulties of living in an urban city in America as a Black person. Like, there are a lot of similarities between those two experiences. And yeah, I think America isn't a space where Black people are like restricted from building wealth and building social capital and all of these things. And so it is something that like I've noticed and been thinking about since I've been here. Yeah, I guess I'm curious about like how, because you said that you were in the military and then you were traveling to like European and Eastern, like Asian countries. Did you experience like a level of culture shock like in your arrival to the African continent? And like how, if you did experience that, like how did you navigate?
So for me, because I've had that experience of traveling to different countries, I would say any country that you go to, you're going to experience some level of culture shock. And yes, because I did my research, and I tell anybody who's going to move, like, I'm one of them people, I've never been to the continent at all. I didn't even pack up everything. I sold and got rid of everything that I owned, and I came here with 2 suitcases. So, because my intent was, I'm coming here because I know that I can live anywhere and I'll be okay and I'll manage. But coming to the continent and then going from Nairobi, it was a culture shock. It wasn't as much of a culture shock. I think I got more of a culture shock coming to Ghana, because Ghana for me just gave me more culture. And there were some things that were good, and then there were some things that I felt like, okay, I'm gonna have to adjust a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Let me get my mind right. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? Those are things that I have researched and I expected. But we can do a lot of research and we can expect a lot of things. But when you're here and you're actually feeling it and going through the motions, you like, oh, okay, wow, I knew it was going to be like this, but dang, like the roads, I'm like, yeah, I knew the roads were going to be bad, but dang, like every road, you know what I'm saying? And I know that there was a previous government, and I know now that we have a new president and we're working on those things. Those are things that we experience, but you know what? They're not as bad as the stuff that I experienced in the U.S. There's so many hurdles that we have to deal with in the U.S. Roads, Wi-Fi, and water. We people, we can adjust to that. It is what it is. I already knew these things were going to happen. And then once you are in your space You here in Ghana, I have created an environment of people, you know what I'm saying, where we vibe, we have the same energy. You know, I've got people now that I can say are family. I can literally call family. And it's easier here because we're all like-minded, because we left for a reason. So we all came here for a purpose. So I'm sorry, sweetie. So whatever we experience, we know that is minimal compared to the experiences that we experience in the United States. And a lot of us come here because we know when you come to Ghana, you come to the continent, you come as an entrepreneur, as a bridge builder, to build businesses, you know what I'm saying, and to build financial wealth for ourselves, because we know in the United States as a real estate agent, I made money. But at the end of the day, by the time I paid for everything, household expenses, insurance, I'm like, dang, I ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? And you put your money in these retirement accounts and things, and you're afraid that is my money really going to be there? You know, is retirement going to be there? Is Social Security? So we come here also, a lot of the diaspora, the mindset to secure our future. So we come here looking to settle. So we're buying lands, buying property, we're building, because we want to get our home front secured so we can have a place. Because if anything jump off in the United States, either if you come here to visit and you're not fully moved here yet, we want to establish ourselves here so we have our second home, because we know that in the United States we can see there's a shift. Things are changing. You know, the world itself is changing globally. So if you're not paying attention, you're going to get caught up. And I think sometimes I go back to what I told Clevie. I think the Most High brought me here to prepare for my people who are going to be coming, to make sure that you got somebody here that, you know, that culturally, because I'm an American or you could be European, our cultures are similar, so that you have that connection and they say, hey, okay, you know what, I trust Jim Kia. Because majority of my clients, they become like my best friends. We just have that relationship, and people will attract or buy, you know, as a real estate agent, with people that they trust. It's not about the product of the buying of the land, but we connect because of relationships.
Right.
And I'm someone who likes to build relationships with people, because it's very important. Because people, if you don't have a relationship, people are not going to trust you, and they're not going to get on that plane to come over here and experience another culture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even if they're not moving here, just to get them on the plane to experience Africa, to experience Ghana, to see what it actually offers. Because I'm online, they see me on social media talking about come to Ghana, invest. Because we need to now start investing outside of America, outside of the box, and I say globally. Because we need to put our money somewhere that is going to grow, where we're building up a country that has been stepped on for so long by the United States and so many other different countries. So it's very important that we, you know, come over here and show them, and at the same time, show the local Ghanaian people who we are. Like, we're you. I know when you consider us as foreigners, and I've experienced that. Sometimes they don't see us as us. We're just foreigners, and that's a whole nother topic. But you just got to be in the mindset that you can't just come somewhere and all of a sudden just change somebody's mindset or somebody's thinking. I always say actions. We have to show them who we are.
Well, sometimes I have to also clarify that if people, or maybe African, sometimes treat diasporas or maybe African Americans as foreigners, I think it is a mindset, because you know the colonizers have done so much wrong to us. And I normally say that the dog that bites you is the same dog that also bites us too as well. So sometimes it's the mindset, and that is why we are also trying our possible best to change those kind of mindset, because if we don't do that, we cannot bridge the gap. We cannot bridge those kind of, we cannot build those kind of bridge that we want to, you know, build or anything of that. So that's what we have to do. We have to make videos. We have to tell people that it is never like that on the other side. So we are all one people. But you know, I still want to emphasize on something from what you were saying. I think black people in America are not being wanted in America, but yes, still, they are not making any move. I think 80% are not making any move moving to the continent Africa. When you tell people about Africa in America, you tell them Africa is good, Africa is like this. They sometimes think that We live in bushes. We, sometimes they show things on BBC, Al Jazeera, like houseflies and so forth. People are living in trenches, trees and so forth. So black people think that is how Africa looks like. In your own point of view, now that you are in Africa, doing well in Africa, making business in Africa, what are you going to do to also turn or maybe change the mind of people that lives in America to come to Africa? Because that is what they think. They think Africa is bush, Africa will live with animals, snakes and monkeys and so forth. How are we going to do that?
So Clevy, it goes back to what you said just a few minutes ago about, Africans having a colonized mindset. But we as Americans, we also are colonized. And we have, our mindset is just a little different because we were colonized in one way and you guys were colonized in one way. And so we are both, as a country, United States and as Ghana, dealing with colonization in the way that we think and what was presented to us. Like you got Ghanaians, how they see America, and then we got the Americans on how they see Ghana, the Ghanaians. And that's the thing where we talk about bridging the gap. And I think with us as a diaspora, going back to, we have to show them and not so much talk about it. You know what I'm saying? You know how to say, don't just talk about it, be about it. We have to come here and show them, like, look, this is what you can accomplish here. This is what Africa really looks like. That's why we do all these YouTubes. Videos so they can actually see, because they need to see and they need to see us here. And then we also have a duty to be fully transparent and fully honest with people, because I'm gonna tell you, a lot of my people in America, they like, they're not coming over here. I get questions like, is there animals running around? No, I'm in Ghana. They ain't got no lions and tigers in here. I'm gonna need y'all to understand. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need y'all to read out a little bit. I need you to educate yourself and do that. We have to want to learn and know. But if you don't have that in you spiritually to want to know and to find out, like the Bible tells us, there's a lot of things in the Bible. That's the whole thing with me. But there are things in there that you can take out of there that's positive. Basically, faith without works is dead. You can't believe in something, have faith in something, if you're not doing the work. You know what I'm saying? Because we know that they took the Bible and they manipulated the Bible. And we're talking about our colonizers, and they use it as fear tactics to keep us down. And a lot of times in America, that Bible, that religion is what's keeping us down and is creating a fear to step outside of the United States and experience a different culture. Ain't nobody running around here with machetes trying to kill us. I'm here. I walk out these streets every day by myself and I'm good. I feel so much safer here. And for me to tell you that is the truth. You have to start educating yourself and stop listening to the bull that they fed us. It's not true. There's so many of us that are here. And you can see that we're building businesses. We're doing this thing. And people tell me, oh, you just look so happy. You look at peace. Because I ain't got nobody hitting me in my head every time. Or, you know what I'm saying, in my pockets trying to kill me, do all this craziness. I feel at peace. And it's just something that I can't explain. Do I love the United States? My family is there. You know what I'm saying? I love the people and I love my family. But I understand what the systems do to us. Systems will tear you down and make you think that you're doing good. United States is very good at conveniences with the big, beautiful houses and the water on demand. Our water go off and in 30 minutes, we ain't got no water. Oh my God, we're about to kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? In Ghana, the water can go out because the power goes out. Okay, well, let me just turn on my little candle or my USB or my generator and I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? But those things are minimal. You know what I'm saying? But I think in order for you to come to Africa, to come to Ghana, you just got to be flexible. You have to be flexible. And if you're not, then don't come. Don't come with all your attitudes, with all that, they do this and they do that. No, we don't need that here because that's separating us and it's not bringing us together. And my goal is to come here to show all the opportunities to purchase land. You can be a foreigner and purchase land and property in Ghana. That's one of the questions. You come here, you can live here and become a resident. I just got my residency. So I'm a legal resident of Ghana now. You know what I'm saying? I got my little stamp and my sticker and my passport. So now I really feel like I belong here. Anybody can't tell me nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my home, and my next goal is to become a citizen.
Right.
Whether I live here full time, I have residency. Once I get citizenship, whether I live here full time, if I choose, I can live in Ghana for I can live in the United States for 6 months. Hell, I can move to Tanzania and live for 6 months.
Right.
But I got a home, I have citizenship here in Ghana that says that I belong here. And a lot of us Americans, we don't know where we belong. We don't know who we are because we don't know our history. And I think if you open yourself up and you educate yourself and you realize that we all are come from this continent, whether our ancestors came by slave ship or not, because we know. You know, understanding who Mansa Musa is, what the richest black man in the world was. You know what I'm saying? Educate ourselves and how he came to America before Christopher Columbus. All that bull that they told us is not true because they want to control us and think that a particular race is the dominant race, and they're not. But we have the power. As black people, we have the power. God has given us the power within. So we have to look within, know who we are, understand who we are, and we need to act accordingly. That we are kings and queens, and we can do anything.
I still have a lot to ask. If you are supposed to come to Africa, what are the things that you have to consider before you move to Africa? What do you need to consider?
So coming to Africa, like I said, it's very important that you do your due diligence. You know, as a real estate professional, everything that I talk about is about doing due diligence. And when you are traveling and moving, and then this is a huge transition for you. And the biggest thing is that financial transition. You need to budget. You know, we say that Africa, everybody in the mind says, oh, Africa is cheap. Yeah, the cost of living is much lower than what we experience in the United States. But there is that day-to-day living and cost. If you know that you used to certain things, like coming here to the Haven, like in the States, we have our Starbucks. You know, we're looking at $10 coffees. You know what I'm saying? Do you plan on coming here and still, spending that kind of money? Your grocery bills, you can still come here and buy decent groceries, but if you want to go eat at the restaurants every night or every week, you know what I'm saying? Those costs adds up. So making sure that the money that you have enough money to come here to sustain yourself. And do not come here looking for a job. I think a majority of people need to have some mindset of having a business or having, like me, I have a pension, because I get retirement income. And then because I have a skill, I've been a licensed agent for 14 years, I know I can come to Ghana and set up a real estate business, which I have here, and make myself global. So the thing about it that I love about that is, in the United States, I was an agent in one state, right? I've been licensed in 3 different states. But here, I'm a licensed agent globally. And I ain't saying that just to be like, pumping myself up. But coming to Africa has given me a global perspective. And this is why I say I was meant to come to Ghana. Because the moment I went through my 6 month of detox from the United States, mentally, spiritually, and physically, the moment I started to do real estate, boom. This beautiful lady, Makita Smith, from Savvy Chicks in Real Estate, she's from Chicago, another diaspora. She has a company that I partnered up with, Savvy Chicks in Real Estate, that has a global real estate brand. And I'm like, where this lady come from? She just popped up in my feed. I connected with her, and she was also a friend of mine from Kenya. So we ended up on the same Zoom, like, hey, this is how God works. We in the same Zoom, and that connection, and then I started partnering up with her, and then my global brand just grew. You know what I'm saying? Now, okay, I'm not just a real estate agent in Georgia or Maryland or Texas. I'm a global real estate agent, so I can sell real estate in Ghana, in Africa. I can sell in Kenya, Tanzania, Dubai.
Wow.
So that opens up wealth. It's about wealth building. When you step outside of your normal, habitat, or your local, and you become global, it's like opening your mind. And coming to Africa Africa, coming to Ghana opened up my mind. And that's where wealth begins. That is how you build legacies. And, for some reason, I didn't gravitate to land, but land is very spiritual. And I even went out yesterday to look at some farmland, and one of the gentlemen was telling me about how this section of the land nobody can build on because there's a tree, in which they use as a spirit god that they pray to. Is very spiritual. And I say that we don't have that in the U.S. You know what I'm saying? We're missing that part of us, that culture of spirituality. And I feel robbed. They took that from us because I felt like if we had that when we were growing up, we would be different people. I mean, we would be more connected. And we know that when you connected to the source and you have that connection, life just becomes a lot easier. My life has become so much easier being here in Ghana, and it's just because of the mindset shift, knowing that I don't have no boundaries. There's no boundary lines anymore. The United States will put you in a box and say, no, you can't do this, or no, you can't do that. As Black Americans or Black people, when we're trying to do business, we have so many roadblocks, so much money we got to pay out. We kind of reach that ceiling, like we can't go nowhere. It's like they got a chokehold on us. And coming to Ghana, ain't no ceiling, ain't no chokeholds. We come here, we do so much. Man, it's too much freedom here in Ghana. But we love it though, right? So that's the beauty of it, It's just no holds, no bars, no boundaries. You can live your life in true peace and freedom.
No, I think my sister also has something to say. You have something to say?
Yeah, I'm curious. So you're mentioning this 6-month detox that you had coming to the continent. I just want to hear you talk about it.
That detox, ooh, baby girl, that thing was powerful. I thought it was gonna take me out. No, because physically, remember I talked about being a disabled vet. I was medically retired. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease. So, in the military, that's why the military put me out, because basically you become non-deployable. They can't use you anymore. So, boom, you out. You know what I'm saying? And my whole life went through a whirlwind. Dang, my goal was to stay in and retire and do 20 years. I'm a single divorced mom. I had 2 sons and one on with special needs. And I got out and I struggled financially for a little while because, one, I was sick. This disease will put you to where I could barely walk or move. And then so the VA medications, the doctors, the Western medicines, they put you on about 15 or 20 different meds, and then you so drugged up and you trying to work and you living in pain. It was a crazy thing. And just being in the atmosphere, of the toxins that we have in the United States. I had to detox physically, from all the meds and things like that out of my system. And I started with spirituality. I had friends. I had a couple of friends. One was an airway guy, and he was telling me, you need to be out in the sun for 30 minutes. You need to walk outside barefoot and do all this stuff, trying to heal me. And he was guiding me. So I went through that. I saw an herbal doctor where he basically took me off all my medicines. Oh my gosh. It's like my body shut down. I went through that. I went through the spiritual thing where, like I said, I went from Christianity, from being a Hebrew Israelite to understanding my roots, to now just being in spirituality and have that connection. I literally lost about 35 pounds. Yes, ma'am. I lost a lot of weight. It wasn't from me walking or going to the gym, just being here on the continent, because I started eating a lot healthier. I started juicing, and I recognized that my body is truly a temple, and that's how God created us to be. And just the natural sunlight, like I told you, my vitamin D levels has gone down. Do I still have rheumatoid arthritis? Yes. And that's a process that I'm still working on. But maybe after being on 10 to 3 meds, I'm good. My pain level going from 100 to about 30 now. You know what I'm saying? But I still got joint damage. That's just what it is. And I'm praying continually that that'll work itself out. But I had to do that detox, and I had to let the mindset go of being in the United States and being in the West and the way my life was, and realizing I'm in a different culture, I'm in a different atmosphere. I have to move and operate in a different way. And my expectations, you gotta let them go. Because what you expect and then what you get here is totally different. the whole time thing, that's one, that Ghana time is real. That's just, it's like black people time on steroids, but, but that detox, but when I came out of it, I became a better person, a much healthier person, and we got rid of all that cloudiness in my mind, so I became more clear, I became more alert, and I became knowing more of what I needed to do, and my business grew. It's like my business was on steroids now, because I feel like I was now connected to the source, to the Most High, and I had that connection, and everything now is, the universe is just bringing things to me. I didn't really have to physically work as much, and that's the thing. I keep telling people it's a spiritual thing. I know people like, oh, it's a spiritual thing, but it truly is. Yeah.
Well, I think you seem so happy.
I know, I am.
So I think if somebody is happy, there is something behind that. For me, whenever you're sitting with me, at least we also have to talk about what you are doing in Ghana, how you are making it in Ghana. You made mention of you are into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about your real estate, how you were able to start a real estate business? In case somebody also want to start a business in Ghana as well, what are the things that the person has to also consider or go, or things that you have to consider before you also go into business in Ghana?
Well, like I said, I've been a licensed agent in the U.S. for 14 years, so naturally, that's my skill set. So for me, that's something that I love. I love, helping people own property and land. And so for coming to Ghana, that was something that I was going to do naturally. But now it's just on a deeper level now, because I'm helping my brothers and sisters come over here and establishing themselves with real estate. And the first thing I'm doing is building those relationships with them so that they can trust, because there's so much behind buying land, with fraud and things that we hear about buying land and stuff in Africa, period. But we're talking here about Ghana. And so what my goal is to do is to give as much information as possible to people, and going back to them preparing to come here, making sure that they're financially ready to come here, that they can invest, so that in a year from now they're not having to go back to the United States because they run out of money. Understanding, where do you want to live? Don't just say, I want to come to Africa, I want to come to Ghana. Know what region that you want to live in, because different regions may connect to you better. You might feel like, no, I want to be in the Volta region, or I want to be Greater Accra because I'm that city urban person, or I want to be in the central region because I like being near the coast, the laid back vibes, you know what I'm saying? So do your research. Research is the biggest thing when you're buying land and where you're buying property, because you want to know where you want to live. You might want to be in the gray area, because in the mountain areas where the climate is a little bit cooler and there's less mosquitoes, you know what I'm saying? So do that research. And I say that, do that before you come to me. Or if you come to me, that's what I'm going to tell you. Where do you want to live at? Because Ghana's big. I can't be looking for properties everywhere. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of work, because we don't have an MLS system, a multiple listing system like we have in the US, where I can easily go to this computer system and pull, oh, there's a property here, here, and here. So that's one of the biggest things that I need for you guys, is to give me grace and time, because it's a network system here. So I've connected myself by partnering up with other local agents and brokers, because you can't come here and work and do business by yourself. It is truly a team. You need a Ghanaian to guide you. You gotta have your team, and you gotta have a network of people. And you gotta be a social person, especially if you come here to network and do business. And you need to have an open mindset and know that things are not gonna always flow or go your way. So you need to be able to adjust. Like we say in the military, you gotta be able to adjust fire, boom. You need to be able to pivot. If something doesn't happen this way, okay, then this is my plan B, or this is how I must do it now. So you gotta, if you're gonna come here and operate a business and do that, you gotta have that understanding, and you have to understand time. Things don't just flow as quickly like it does in the United States. But doing real estate for me, it's so easy, because that's what I love to do. That's what I'm passionate about. I've really gravitated to land, because for me it's part of our history and ancestry, and being just like when you're in the United States, we fought so hard for a country. We need to own a piece of this land. This is where we come from. and to have that ownership and our own piece on this continent, I feel is very important. And coming here and building that dream that you wanted. It may not be in America, but it's that dream is here where you living in total peace, where you can become self-sufficient. You know how important that is? Where you don't have a mortgage. United States will put you in debt. And that debt alone will stress you the hell out. You know what I'm saying? Coming here and building a house, no mortgage. Putting solar up, you know what I'm saying? So now you don't have an electric bill that's taking all your money away. Right. You're keeping your wealth now, right? You got your borehole, you got your solar, right? And now you don't got to pay the electric company or ECG, electric company.
Yeah.
You building your peace. You're building your wealth. And then coming here and what everybody wants to do is farm or do their gardens, you know what I'm saying? So they can have their own natural foods where they know it's not full of toxins and they're growing to be self-sufficient, to sustain yourself. If something happens in this world, we don't have to depend on the government to help us. We can help ourselves. And that's the biggest thing, is to be able to do for ourselves and not depend. So at some point, it's not even gonna matter who's president, who's in office, because one, I got my own business and I'm living in a sustainable community and house that I can take care of myself and my family. And when I'm gone, I now have a legacy to leave behind to my children. And when you come here doing real estate, a lot of people say, oh, well, you don't own the land. It's leasehold. Because God is not selling any more freehold land anymore. Nobody owns land. Land belongs to the earth.
Yeah.
Just understand that. And they be like, oh, you can't own land. Dude, ma'am, when you're in the United States, do you even own your land, your property there? Let you not pay your taxes. The government will take your property.
Right.
Let you not pay your mortgage. They will take your property. You didn't pay that thing off and you don't pay your taxes. It's no longer yours anymore. So you got to get in that mindset. You got to do that mindset, that mindset shift. So helping people understand that, like you said, bridging those gaps between bringing the diaspora here, showing them, I try to do a lot of video when they look at lands. I help my clients by going out taking photos, videos. I'm their eyes for them. And I get them to trust me so that I can do that for them. And I guide them through that process so they're not doing it on their own. They got somebody here that they connect with, because culturally going back, we are similar.
Well, what you are saying, it's true. I'm actually into real estate too as well. I've been there for diaspora and also connection as well, people that are overseas,
Yeah.
But I would definitely say that I know the system. But you being a diaspora, if I'm supposed to ask you, what are the things that you consider before you acquire for a land for a client? So maybe what are the things you put in place before you get a land bought for a client?
Yes. So if I get a client and they say, Jim Kia, I'm looking to purchase land. One thing, let me just say, right now, I'm actually enrolled in a real estate certification course through Ghana, through the GARAP, which is the Ghana Association Real Estate Board. So Ghana is on the precipice of making sure that everyone who is a real estate agent is actually a licensed agent. So right now, we are in the process of just doing certification. So all the agents now are going through a course to get certified. So one thing for me, because I was licensed in the United States, I can come to Ghana and sell real estate internationally. So and then I can actually open up my brokerage. So right now I'm in the process. I do have a company. I'm considered a broker, but I'm not a registered broker yet. So I do have a company, Gold Line International. That is my company. So once I complete the certification now that they're created, I'm already a member of the board like Garrett. Then my next step is to register my business, so that way I'm legal. And when you come here, you want to do and operate business legally, the right way, okay? And I think that's very important. And that also builds the relationship, and it also builds the trust. And then when you are using licensed people or people who are certified, they know the Ghana Real Estate Agency Act and the Land Act. So that is what protects my clients, is me being knowledgeable. So when I tell my clients, you come in, the first thing we do is due diligence. That is the number one thing that we do anything. Before you come to the continent, you do your due diligence, right? You want to check with, you find a piece of land, and you check with the Lands Commission by doing a land title search, doing a survey of your own land that you chose. Like if a seller is selling 10 plots and you want to buy 2, so you get a surveyor out to do your 10 plots. He may give you a survey, but you don't want to trust their survey. You want to do your own survey and do your own land search, and you want to get a certified site plan. And if you know that you're going to purchase that land, you need to get a cadastral site plan. And that cadastral site plan will have a barcode on it that will give you the history of that property, and your information will be on there. So when you register with the Lands Commission will see that you are the legal registered owner of that land. And that is very important, because if you do not register your lands in Ghana, legally, technically, you are not the legal owner. So that's why it's very important. And also, it keeps your land from being sold again.
Well,
And that is the issue that we have in Ghana.
I think I need to say something about this to people have to know. You made a point, that is right, but in certain cases, because people want to avoid paying taxes,
Yes.
that is why they don't want to register and land.
Yes. That is how traditionally people do.
Right.
And it is not required that you register your land, but it is highly recommended that you register your land.
Well, that is right. It's really a choice. You
It
can
is a
choose to-
choice.
You can choose to register,
Yes.
you can choose not to register.
But as a licensed professional, I can tell you
Sure.
to register your
Sure.
land, because that also protects you as the buyer. Because if you don't register land, in the Lands Commission, they don't see you as the legal owner of that
Right.
land. So if anybody can come later on and challenge you on that land, if it's yours or not, and then you're gonna run into legal and financial issues. Even though it is your land, you got a land purchase receipt saying that you bought it, but now you could be caught up in court, because now you gotta prove that this land's for you. And I say that especially for the diaspora. I know you are local, but for us, we need to make sure that we register
Yeah, sure.
our land and insure it.
Right.
But that is true, what you said. That's just the way it is. But I always recommend that everybody do that.
Absolutely. But do you have any backup plan as you are making a business in Ghana? You know, I think certain ways, maybe sometimes you might have failed in certain direction, or maybe certain decisions that you make. Do you have any backup plans as you are doing business in Ghana?
I do have a plan, and it's a plan that I have. It's not nothing that I have acquired yet, but as a real estate professional, I plan on buying additional land and property. One of the things I want to definitely do that's a great investment is called land banking. Just buying land in an area, like an emerging area, even lands like Cape Coast, buying land here and just holding on to it, because we know that land increases value here in Ghana like every 6 months. Land prices are increasing. You know, it's crazy. It's like
I would
a
say
circle.
every 3 months.
I know, right? Every 3 months?
I would say that every 3 months.
Yes.
Land prices goes up.
They're going up.
Yeah.
So,
That's how it is.
exactly. So I was just being a little bit, but honestly, yeah. And that's a great way to buy and what we call buy and hold, which is the land banking. And so you hold on to that land. Man, you hold on to that land for 5 years. You know how much money you can make? So if you're a young person, that's something that you can do. So when you're ready to build, you can take and sell that land and use it to buy a condo, an apartment, or build your own home. Doing things like that, or buying condos or apartments, you know, and then you can use those as Airbnb rentals and things like that. That's great opportunities. Farming. Do you know you make more money in agriculture than you do in real estate? That's why I'm out here looking at farmland, because I'm trying to show people, like, don't always just think of real estate, but agriculture.
Right.
And then the simple fact is, you don't even have to farm it. You know, I done found people here that you can lease farmland from, or you can purchase. They will come and set your stuff up for you.
Right.
There's a family in the Volta region. She's a diaspora and her husband is Ghanaian, where they've been doing farming for the past 5-6 years. So they can set up your whole farm for you, and so that it can start producing and build you a team. You don't even got to be here in Ghana. You know what I'm saying? And they can manage it for you, and you can make money. Now, once you do that, you'll have money so you can come, you can buy your land, build your house, and do what you want to do. So those are things that I've noticed that I just want 1 acre
I will
of
actually
farmland.
say agriculture is not the way.
It's the way manufacturing.
That's what I would say, because when you go into farming,
Yeah.
I myself, I'm now also going into poultry farming. And I started everything. I'm getting the structures.
Yeah.
Probably by next week I'll be done with the structure.
Yeah.
We start working things out. So I would say agriculture is actually the way now in Africa.
And one thing about that is, because if you're looking to come and you want to register a business, because I went to the office here in Accra to find out about how to register a business, because most people want to come, they want to register a business. In agriculture and manufacturing and exporting, there is no fee to register your business because it keeps the money here in Ghana.
Right.
And so that is one way to start a business where there's no registration fee, because they want you to start a business, because one, that's going to bring more jobs, it's going to keep the money here in Ghana. And so that's one thing to consider when you want to come and register a business. Now, I wish they were doing that for real estate, but obviously they're not. But it's okay, because that's my skill set. But
Well, I think I have extra more 3 questions to ask you. 2 of them will be a challenging question. One will be a question that I think it will be easier for you to answer.
okay.
Yeah. So far, so good. You being into real estate in Ghana. How many houses have you completed so far?
So I actually haven't sold any houses. I have sold land
Okay.
here in Ghana. That's why I was saying early, I'm selling developer properties. I've had a lot of interest, but majority of people that have gravitated to me, they have been land buyers. So I've sold so far to 10 clients. I've sold land to. And so I'm pretty happy about that. And honestly, I didn't start selling real estate until January of this year. Because I did that detox because I wanted to get here. I didn't want to just get here and start working, because I needed to get here to find out, to acclimate myself to Ghana, to find out how business works here in Ghana and how real estate works here in
You just
Ghana.
want to know the system.
I need to know the system. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Who am I to come in here and start selling and doing? I don't even know.
Right.
And then you giving out false information. You got to know what you're working with. You need to know the system and how things work. So I think since January when I started, I think that's pretty good. And I've increased my clientele so much now. I'm working with so many people. I stay busy, Clevy. Oh my gosh. Like these people, like, ooh, but I'm happy about it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really excited.
That's good.
I've had people reach out to me, and not just the diaspora, but local Ghanaians. And they want me to help them sell their land or their property. So I'm working on my business. I'm still building my business. I'm still working, because I'm one of those people that wants everything professionally done, making sure, like my agreements and contracts, I have disclosures with me, so I don't just come and just boom, boom. I inform my clients. I disclose everything to them about real estate. They be like, dang, they think they get a contract like they were back in the United States.
Oh.
But that also indemnifies me of issues, so you can't say that I never told you.
Yeah.
So I want to give them that same professionalism, that level.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Sis, you have something to ask? Because I have a structural question for you. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious if you feel like there's a spiritual dimension to your real estate work and you helping diaspora people purchase land. I also like considering the history of God in relation to the diaspora. Like I'm curious about about your process and your relationship to the land, and like how your work as a real estate agent relates.
I know she the one that gave the deep question of, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. But that's very deep, and that's a lot. And I say that because one, I'm a diaspora too. You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming over here experiencing Ghana, everything as well. You know, even though I feel like I feel like I'm a little modern day Harriet Tubman. You know what I'm saying? Not, you know what I'm saying? Bringing people over through the underground, but I feel like God, like I said before, I think the Most High brought me here to help bridge that gap, to bring people over, and to have that friendly, good energy vibe person to guide you so that people can have somebody to trust, because we know we don't move and operate unless we truly trust somebody, because people can say all kinds of stuff. They're like, I don't know about that person, and they got to feel that energy. So it's all about energy. I really feel like I have a spiritual connection to the land here, and going back to what I was saying, I sell more land because I feel like our ancestors are coming up from the earth and bringing us here and giving us that spirit and that mindset to shift back to the land, to shift back when we come. And I always, like I told my kids already, like if I leave this earth, do not ship my body back to the United States. I want to be buried and planted here, because this is where I belong, this is where I came from, and this is where I want my body to disintegrate. I want to go back to the earth. I want to go back here. And for me, that is a spiritual connection. And I think that's probably why so many clients gravitate toward me to buy land, or why I'm so passionate about land. Even though we don't technically own that land, I said nobody owns it. It belongs to the Most High. It belongs to the earth. You know what I'm saying? So, and then also us not having full ownership keeps it here without other people, foreigners coming to steal our land and taking it from us. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very important. You know, our ancestors fought to stay here, just like in the United States, we fought for land. And we need to hold on to it, and we need to love it. And it's a spiritual thing. It's just like the trees, the wind, the sun, everything has life. And I feel like this is life, and I'm here to protect it and to share it and let people know the importance of it and to take care of it, the land, and understand it's not just transactional, it's spiritual. And it gives us connection, and it gives us a sense of belonging, especially the diaspora. Going back to what I said, a lot of times we confuse, we don't know who we are. We can't say, you know, what tribe we're from, you know what I'm saying? But we, you know, sometimes we need to get away from that tribal and just come together as one people. It's even in Africa, we separated, oh, this is Shanti, or this is the Ewe, and all these different tribes. How about us just bridging that total gap and being one people? The whole continent, getting rid of all the borders so that we can go from one country to the next country without having to go through these battles of visas and passports and all this stuff, and being so expensive to travel. It's so expensive to travel from on the continent. That, you know, it's crazy, but our colonizers created that system for us to keep us locked in. And
it's expensive to ship a box.
It's expensive to ship a box here. I mean, anything coming into the continent is difficult, and they've done that on purpose. You know what I'm saying? To keep us separated and mentally separated from one another, from us, because if we all came together as one people, we would be so powerful. They wouldn't know what to do, and that's why these systems were set in place to keep that power from happening. So is land spiritual? Absolutely. Everything that we do on this continent is spiritual, and we need to get back to that spirituality. It is not about whose God is greater, or this God or that God. I believe that the Most High created us to be one people, to love one another, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Hebrew, Israelite, whether you're a Christian, it doesn't matter. We all need to share love to one another. I think that's so important. You know what I'm saying? To be one people.
I think my final two questions, I'll ask one, maybe my sister will also take over. Where do you sell most of your now?
Right here in Cape Coast, right here in the central region.
So that is actually a Fanti community.
Mm-hmm.
So most definitely people speak Fanti over here.
Mm-hmm.
So have you per chance considered helping people, or maybe your clients that are coming to Ghana to buy land from you? Have you considered helping them in case when they come to Ghana or Africa as a whole, they will be able to speak the Fanti language so that at least they can also mingle with the people in the community.
Yes, yes. And that's one of the things that I'm learning as well. But I told myself I wasn't focused on learning the language when I first got here. I wanted to get myself acclimated to Ghana and create my business and do that stuff first. And then I said, now I want to learn the language so that I can speak and talk. So for me personally, that was my plan of action. For some people, they may want to come in here and boom, automatically they want to learn the language. But you got to know what you want to do, because some people, not everybody comes here to build a business or to do. They just want to come to live and they want to speak the language. And then I've asked quite a few people, because I've asked, what should I do? Should I speak the learn the Fanti language, or Twi? I don't know if I said it right. I hope I said it right, Twi.
Yeah, that's true.
But because I'm a global real estate agent, I felt like I need to speak Twi first more than Fanti, because Fanti and Twi is similar, and plus I travel to different regions of Ghana, and then I know that everybody understands and knows Twi. So that was for me, is to learn that language. While I'm here, like when I first came to Ghana, I moved to Cape Coast. And then I moved to Accra because I felt like Accra, I need to get myself established there with developers. But then my spirit brought me back to Cape Coast. So I'm back in Cape Coast now because it feels like home. I'm a water girl. You know, I grew up in Maryland on the East Coast, so I grew up in the water. I also had I have a sister, Gloria. She's in Maryland. I have another sister, Nicole, in New York City. And I had a brother, and I lost my brother. He actually drowned in the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm very connected to the water, and I feel like his spirit. So for me, even coming back to Cape Coast with the ocean, I just find peace. So for me, I love the Central region. There is so much here. You know, I'll sell real estate anywhere, all over Ghana, but I try to give people a different option versus Accra, because everybody wants to be around the city because it's easy access. But Cape Coast is what we call one of those emerging areas. So in the next 2 to 5 years, there's going to be so much development here. I've met developers here. There's this fabulous woman named Twyla Garrett. She's from the United States, and she's building here in Cape Coast in Elmina. She's building a luxury boutique hotel in Elmina. And man can see she has bought property where she's building a community where it's going to be low income, middle income, and luxury housing. So enough for everybody, not just excluding people, and enough to where the local people, you know, when I'm selling real estate, I don't just cater to the diaspora. I sell real estate to anybody, the locals. So I'm one of those agents where I have clients that are diasporans from the United States, Canada, the UK, and local here, Ghanaians. So it's important that we build in one community, that we all work together, because we all have that same goal. And my goal is to educate, you know, the locals as well in buying land and real estate and giving them that same service. So, but Cape Coast, Central region, land right now is less expensive than it is in the Accra or the Greater Accra area. And you're in a clean environment, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just the air and the water, it's just really nice, it's calming, it's peaceful. You see I'm smiling because I felt like I've come back to my happy place. Now look, I'll go back to Accra, because you know when I want to go to the malls and get some stuff that I can't get here. Until, you know, Cape Coast get a really good grocery store, because you know I'm still an urban girl, you know, at heart. You know, I can put my little, you know, urban shoes on and then put my flip-flops and go barefoot at the same time. I'm just one of the people, but I still want to go out and get those really, really nice drinks. I do the shopping. I go to Accra, I get my fix, and I come on back home to the Central region. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's life, right?
At
So
least you are enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Sis, you want to say something? That's the final question that I want to
Well,
ask.
can I ask her a question?
Yeah, sure.
So my question for you is, what has been your experience here in Ghana?
Yeah, this is my third week.
Okay.
So I definitely don't have like an extensive experience. I think it's also my first time being on the continent. And so, and I think it's been my first time like being outside of the US. I've been a tourist places, but I was texting my god sister about it.
Mhm.
It does like in a lot of ways feel like exiting the matrix, like where
Yes.
in the U.S. like there's just so many things that like I'm taking for granted as like being important or being essential that like comes here and there's just a totally different way of thinking about
Yeah.
coaching. And I found that interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's been really beautiful, and I also like about the experience of feeling much safer
Yeah.
here than usual back like Atlanta. So, yeah, I think it's been like something culturally shock. Yeah, I really have enjoyed getting to be here.
One thing I'd like to say is that the people here, they're good people. I made a lot of friends here. I made a lot of diasporans, and I made a lot of local Ghanaians. One, because I'm in the field or profession of networking, and and I've noticed there's different mindsets too with the people, especially going from the business and then the local people who just are your local vendors and things like that. So they have different perspectives on life, and I see that because with the local vendors, the local people, their mindset is work, get this money. It's a survival game, and that reminds me of how the United States was. We just work to survive. And then you got some of those people who are in a different mindset, just like with people like you, Clevy, and you're getting your people to understand that you can do this. You know what I'm saying? You can come out of this, like she said, this matrix, because there's a matrix for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just by opening your mind and like these are different opportunities. And for the young local Ghanaians here, I understand that you want to go back to the United States, but just sit back and figure out how you can create and build your wealth here on the continent while you're here. And let me tell you, to use us, the diaspora, use us, ask us questions, because we have so much life experience, especially us older people. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you know that I have a business, come to me and say, hey, I need somebody to help me with doing my social media or my digital stuff. I'm a little older now, that stuff don't just come, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Find a way to reach us, like, hey, I can help you in your business, and you can be here and you can make money here. And let me tell you one thing about the diaspora: if you are forthcoming and you are a good worker, we're going to pay you, and we usually will pay you more than what the local salary is, because we want good service. The diaspora is all about service. We are about service, and if you come to me and you showing me that, hey, I can do this or I can do that, and you produce, oh baby, we're gonna hire you. We're gonna get you to do that, and then we're gonna set you up so later on you can operate and own your own business and do exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I create, my goal here is to create my own real estate brokerage here, and I want to take on local agents, especially the female agents, because in Ghana, only 14% of the agents are females. The rest are males. You know what I'm saying? We need our women out here selling real estate.
Right,
You know what I'm
so
saying?
more women should come to Ghana.
Yes.
Ghanaian women should also go into real estate.
Yes.
It's a good thing. They really have to go into real estate. It shouldn't be for only men and women.
Yes. Now we got to deal with some male egos now. Trust me, baby. Yeah, y'all not the easiest thing to deal with. But if you come and you knowledgeable and you know your stuff, they will respect you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you have to come with that mindset, and you can do it. I want my Ghanaian women. I'm working with this fabulous woman in Accra. Her name is Caroline. I partnered up with her because as an agent, you got to build a team, right? You need people. She knows Ghana. She's been doing real estate, and just her working with me, she's getting some stuff from me, and I'm getting stuff from her. So it becomes a partnership, and when you have respect for people, that it'll take you so far. And then you're building a business together. We're working together. We're working on a deal right now together, me and Caroline. You know what I'm saying? And I love her to death. She has a beautiful family, her son, And it's about, it's just about being a family and building and bridging gaps and just working together. And my goal here in real estate, one, is to build my business, continue to build my business, bringing people over here to Ghana. Also open up a brokerage here where I can help, people to get licensed and teach them real estate and to do it the correct way, the professional way. And also I'm working on developing my own community. So I'm in negotiations with that now.
The gated community.
Yes. So that's what I'm working on. I'm working with the family. It's not set in stone, but it will be, because I know if I speak it, it's going to be.
Wow.
And it's right here in Cape Coast.
It's definitely possible.
Right here in Cape Coast, it's going to be a community for everybody. It's not just going to be a diaspora. It's going to be for everybody, because we need to learn how to live together as one and give everybody what they need and deserve. So, and right here in the central region, it's a beautiful here in Cape Coast. The people are good here. I have good times here. I laugh. I go through the street. I walk through there. People know me. I'm like, what? It's just like, it feels like home. It's my home here when I'm not in the U.S. And I love it.
So my final question I really want to ask you was, what's your favorite local food?
Oh. So I like the soup. My favorite soup is the palm nut. It's between the palm nut and the groundnut soup. But I would say palm nut first.
What a coincidence. I think last 2 days I went with my sister and we just went on a tour to Arena. We saw an old lady preparing a palm nut soup. And I think that was the first time she saw how
it's made, yeah.
Palm nut soup. We took some pictures and some videos about how palm nut soup is made.
Yeah.
And then we tasted the palm nuts. Yeah, we cracked it and then we tasted it.
Yeah.
It's kind of not liking it, but I do like it, because at the time that was what we were using to do pomade. Sometimes we chew, then we apply it on our skin.
Oh,
So that's I have been a village boy for a long time, and I'm still a village boy. So I know the in and out of Ghana, village style, and so forth. So I think it's a new age for us.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're from Atlanta, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely a new thing. But a good experience though, right? Now you go back home and you tell all your people, be like, yeah, girl, they out here. Like, let me rub some of this palm nut oil, something different than the shea butter or the coconut oil, right? Man, I'm trying to tell you, everything out here is so natural. It's just, that's the beauty of it. Like, I was at the Eddie Ray's fish basket. So one of our local diasporans, her and her husband is a Ghanaian and she's diasporan. And they have right here on Victoria Street. And I got bit by a spider. I don't even know. He must have caught me in my sleep. He bit me like 4 times going up my leg. Girl, I just glad he didn't bit me on my face. And he just like, oh, okay. He sent one of his workers out to get a plant from the woods, from the bush. He came back and he rolled it up and put it in some foil. He said, rub this on it. The next day, them big old whelps and everything was gone. I mean, just being able to come to Africa and knowing that the Most High has provided everything that we need. The herbs are for healing. Instead of me I had went and bought that little cream. That cream wasn't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? From the pharmacy. Baby, he put that stuff on my leg. The next day, I rolled it. It was gone. I'm like, man, just being able to know what to go and get. It's like, I need to know this information.
We call that a champo.
Yes.
Champo. That's the name of the.
Is that what that is?
Yeah,
Darn,
it's
I'm
called
trying to
champo.
say.
So
Okay.
it really stops blood clotting and everything.
Yeah, because it was a huge red circle too. That thing was huge. I'm like, about the size of a cookie. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope it wasn't poison. I'm thinking I'm about to be dying. What kind of spider bite was it?
Well, I think the spider was also trying to welcome you to Ghana.
He was doing something because that joker went boom, boom, boom all the time.
I think my sister has also had experience when she came with the mosquitoes in Ghana doing some workout. She was so proud of the Ghanaian mosquitoes. I told her Ghanaian mosquitoes are more stubborn than the American mosquitoes. So I think she was happy about the mosquito bites and so forth. So your final words, what are you going to tell the people that are watching, and your clients that are also watching the Clevy Joe show?
Well, I just want to thank Clevy Jill and Miss Guy here for sitting down and talking to me. I just want people to know, my family, my friends, and my clients to know that, I have, like Sky said, I've stepped outside of the matrix and I see the world for what it really is. We live in a global world and we need to start thinking and having a global mindset in everything that we do. Make a plan. If you're tired of the rat race and you want to experience something different, if you want to know who you are and where you come from, take a trip, come to the continent of Africa. Choose your country of choice. Choose Ghana. A lot of us, we do come from the West, our ancestors from Ghana, Nigeria, or whatever. Come, experience Ghana for yourself. Don't just believe everything what you see on TV, everything that you hear. There are so many opportunities here to grow, to be wealthy, to live a peaceful life without being stressed, to live a healthier life, because I'm an example of it. Every day, my family and friends are like, you look so good, your skin is glowing, what are you doing? Water and sunlight, and less stress. I mean, literally, it takes years off your life. I'm so happy here. I do miss my family and friends, and I will go back to the United States to visit. But my goal is not to move there. You know what I'm saying? But if I have to ever go back, it is what it is. But Ghana is good. Cape Coast is a great place. It's a great alternative if you're looking for an area outside of Accra, Ghana, outside of the greater Accra area. It's very family oriented here. There's lots of love here. It's beautiful. You got fresh air. The people are wonderful. The food is good. I mean, just follow me, follow Clevy, and you'll see. We will show you everything that Ghana has to offer, and we'll give you the real, and we'll be transparent. Is it easy? No, nothing is ever easy. There's always going to be challenges, especially when you come from a culture of convenience and you're used to certain things. But at some point, you'll learn that those things aren't as important as you thought that they were, okay? And that's what I have to say. If you're looking to build a business, if you're looking to buy land, to purchase property, please follow me. I'm on YouTube, TikTok. You can Google me, Jim Kia Fierro. You'll pretty much find all my social media handles. But I'm here. I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me and I will be of service to you, because the Most High has brought me here to be a servant and to bring my people back home to a land of freedom, peace, and legacy. And thank you.